Class, this is the last video in TI-84 Basics. Here we'll be looking into specific features, which include reusing snippets of code / immediate answers, storing values, and using functions. So first off, snippets of code. What code? Well, technically we're just typing a sort of code that translates into whatever a calculator is supposed to do. So for example, let's just try to plug in several different values into the f of x that we've been using, which is f of x equals quantity x squared minus 1 divided by quantity 2x squared minus 5. So let's say that you want to get the values for x equals 0, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can literally type this in for every single one. So you can do parenthesis 0 squared minus 1 parenthesis divided by parenthesis 2 times 0 squared minus 5 and parenthesis. And you can just do that for x equals 2, 3, 4, and 5, but that's a little bit tedious and redundant. So what can we do? Well, after we do the work for x equals 0, all you can do is press second enter, and then that work will pop up again, and you can re-edit it. So you can just put the values in for 2, put the values in for 3, 4, or 5, and just keep doing second enter to get that. You can actually do it a lot of times and get a lot of different types of code, but it doesn't do it infinitely, so be aware of how much it does. Okay, so you can do that, but there's also another thing that you can do. What if you wanted to have an immediate answer? And what if, let's just say we're given another function g of x equals x cubed plus 4x squared minus pi x minus e. So after you get over the fact that there are crazy numbers in it, we can move on with our lives and do stuff with it. So let's say for whatever reason, you just found f of 2, and then wanted to find g of f of 2. Well, the function g is just that. So what you can do after you get f of 2 is do second and then press the negative button. That will bring up ans. That means answer. So that means the immediate answer that you just did. So you can start typing that in, second negative, and you get ans to the third power plus 4 times ans to the second power minus pi times ans minus e, press enter, then you get this crazy number. And again, after you get over the fact that there's a crazy number, you can record it down for whatever purpose you have for it. And yeah. Alright, so what if we don't want just that answer? Or how do we even know that we're using the correct answer? Well, you can store it. So you look at this thing that says alpha, it's green, and you have a whole bunch of green letters. You can use those. So let's do the same thing that we just did, but instead of getting the answers, we just store them. So how do we do that? Let's start off with f of 0. After typing that all out, all you have to do is press stow, alpha, and choose a green letter. I'm just going to choose A in this case. So we do that, press enter, and now the variable A, if you type that, it has the value of f of 0. So you can do this with f of 2, 3, 4, and 5 as well. So I'm going to do that real fast. Here's a screenshot of basically what that looks like after we do it all, because it's going to be redundant if we do it all here. So now f of 2 is stored in B, f of 3 is stored in C, f of 4 is stored in D, and f of 5 is stored in E. Now let's do the same thing with g of x and input all of those f of x values. So now we can simply just type g of A, g of B, g of C, g of D, and g of E. And just put that into the formula. You can second enter and do all that. But this still seems a little bit extra, right? Well, kind of yes and no. In certain situations, this is really, really useful. This situation, not really. We can be a lot more efficient with it. I only use this situation as an example to illustrate these concepts and functions. So now we're going to use one of the most powerful tools from a graphing calculator. If you've been following along, you'll have y1 saved as your f of x. And now we have g of x that we've been using in this video. We can store that as y2. So let's go to y equals, type that in there. And now let's do some nice things with them. Go back to the home page. You can do that by pressing second mode. That's the quit function, which basically just means that you're going back to the home page. Alright, so now let's say that we want g of f of x for x equals 0, 2, 3, 4, and 5 again. So the basic idea of what we're going to do here is we're going to type in y2 of y1 of x for all those x values. You can fairly easily do this with the vars function. So what you do is you first click in vars, then yvars, then function, and then you can choose y2 first, because in g of f of x, g is the outer function, so we're going to have to do that first. Alright, so after you click on that, we immediately go back to the home page. Now we can put in open parenthesis, go back to vars, so vars, yvars, function, then click on y1, and then now we have y2 parenthesis y1. Now if we want to type g of f of 0, then we can just put open parenthesis 0 and then close the parentheses. And then press enter, then you got that thing. You can repeat this, so just like second enter that for 0, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So remember that y1 represents f of x and y2 represents g of x. So this syntax should make perfect sense. If not, just go back, think about the meaning of these things, and then it should start to make more and more sense. And I suggest making up some examples for yourself to try to understand how to do these a little better too. Alright, so that's all for now. In the future, I may do a tutorial on stats related things as well. But for now, that's all you really need to be familiar with. So yeah, just if you're just starting off. Since you have a basic understanding, you can also Google how to do anything else, and it should start to make more sense because of that basic understanding. And if not, then just rewatch these videos, try to develop that understanding, look at different resources, and then it'll help you with using these powerful tools.